Now we are live and we're interactive. Just to prove that, this magazine apparently is the best product that we've ever put out. And of course the TOOP TV crew in the studio here today have just given me an absolute pasting about the fact that TOOP TV is in fact the best product we've put out, and this is the second best. So we'll debate that at length. You guys might as well if you see both. But in the meantime, while we're doing that, debating those very serious issues, we've got the SA Executive Director of the Property Council, and it's Nathan Payne joining us yet again. Welcome, Nathan, to 2012.
Thank you, Anthony, and Happy New Year.
Now, Nathan, before we get underway, you're a bit of a rock star, mate. I noticed in today's paper, and of course we organised this, but like a massive description of what's happening in the Urban Blueprint fails to register with the community, and you're named all through this. So I figured that rather than just heading in our normal path about what the market's doing, first of all, let's cover off on what is going on with all of that detail. And of course, part of that is that you were very involved in this 30-year plan for South Australia. So talk to me about the article in today's paper.
Well, the article in today's paper is really based on some research by Harrison Research that shows that only 20% of South Australians recognise that South Australia has a long-term strategic plan for the state.
Is that 20% recognise it or care?
20% care, I think is the truth. The reality is, I don't think it'd be surprising that most South Australians, 80% of South Australians, would probably know the cricket score better than they know that South Australia has a long-term strategic plan.
I can almost guarantee that. So look, talk to me about it. Let's fill in some of the gaps about what is really the issue with that. Are people saying, or the Advertiser article, are they basically saying that something bad about people not knowing, or is it they're disagreeing with the plan, or what's the guts behind it?
I think the assertion is that that there's something bad about the fact that people don't know that South Australia has a strategic plan. I don't think that that's actually a problem. I think that most people don't know that their council has a local development plan. People want to know what's important in their life in terms of what's happening with the houses next door to them and what's happening around the state in terms of their jobs and economic prosperity. I don't think they're so much worried about what or where developments are going to happen in 2036.
Okay, so basically we talked before we went on air about what's happening in Adelaide. You made a comment about the number of cranes in the air. It's something that I've actually noticed. Flew back from the tennis on Tuesday, when it was, Tuesday, and I noticed just flying in, it just was obvious. Tell me about that.
Yeah, look, last count I took of cranes in the skyline, there's 12. Which is probably one of the highest amount of cranes on Adelaide skyline in the last decade. And certainly I've got people from the East Coast and the West Coast flying to Adelaide talking to me about how many cranes there are. And we're actually expecting at least another 3 to be put up in the next 6 to 12 months. So what that shows is that from a commercial perspective, there is a lot of activity going on. There's a lot of new buildings happening for commercial office, but there's also a lot of new residential apartments happening as well, which I think is good news for people who want to buy in a vibrant and activated CBD.
Nathan, let's cover off on, obviously we're normally residential. You represent the big builders, don't you? So pretty much not the mums and dad houses, but the bigger builders?
Yeah, absolutely. Bigger residential, commercial, industrial, retail. If you're going to build an entirely new community, like you might add at Roseworthy, for example, I represent all of the aspects or all of the players that would do that. Okay,
so let's get specific. Run through those various categories and how they're tracking. Just give us a summary, quick snapshot, and how it looks for this year.
Yep. So residential. We've had some low levels of build for residential, but that's, I think, going to increase with first home buyers re-entering the market this year. Commercial's been very strong. Industrial has plateaued, but will probably remain reasonably strong, as will retail. So I think on the whole, 2012 certainly looks a lot brighter than 2011.
So the members scared about the year, or are you saying that they're actually quite positive and it's all go?
From our December 2012 survey of property investor confidence, South Australia had a massive rebound in confidence, particularly on the back of BHP and Olympic Dam. And I've got to say, most people are saying 2012 will be better and 2013 will be better again.
Right, now just an anecdotal phone call I had yesterday talking to a mate of mine who funds big machinery. And he was saying that the orders are now being actually issued by BHP. And so all of the talk, all of the rhetoric seems to be coming to its conclusion, and they're literally ordering stuff.
But as I understand it, BHP are about to spend, before they even sign off on the mine, about $1.2 billion in early works. So that's machinery and everything else. As soon as they sign, my understanding is they're going to be looking for office space for 1,500 odd office workers. That means more people moving to South Australia, more families coming to South Australia, more people wanting to buy a house. So I think really the good news, and we've seen what happens from mining in Western Australia and Queensland, the good news is as soon as Olympic Dam happens, I think all bets are off for how strong South Australia's economy will be.
Okay, now it is such a small economy, so it doesn't take a hell of a lot to kick it in, does it?
No.
How do you think the General Motors news, do you think that is going to have an impact, or do you think that's just someone trying to get some cash out of the government, or what's your take on that?
Oh, look, it almost seems to be a regular cycle with regards to the automotive industry. I don't think we should underplay how important General Motors is to particularly Elizabeth. Now, what the subsidies should be, I'll leave that to professional politicians, but certainly that area is relies so heavily on it that I think we need to make sure that we do look after it to some extent.
Great. Now, Nathan, I'm going to come back in a minute with questions about Bowden, about the infrastructure projects, and I also share with you some thoughts about 2012 in the residential market. But in the meantime, let's just go and have a look what has been sold in the gone segment. So this is where the rubber meets the tarmac, as they say, and there's been a lot of action.